Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Ghymlit Dark. This is the newest dungeon made available by patch 4.5 in Final Fantasy XIV, A Requiem for Heroes. This dungeon is a colossal improvement over the average 4-man experience, and if you want to be hyen with the kids, you might even say it's lit. My name is Magitek and I'll be your dungeon guide. We begin by making our way through the front lines, dealing with multiple trash mobs and watching out for AoEs as we go. Eventually, you'll reach the first boss, the Mark IIIB Magitek Colossus. Jarring Blow is a moderate tank buster. All players will be marked by these purple circles and then targeted for Wildfire Beam, spread apart to avoid overlapping damage. Magitek Slash will begin with a massive conal AoE and a directional indicator around the boss. Players will need to quickly identify which direction this attack is going to rotate around the boss and essentially get behind it. Every hit of the attack will leave behind fire for a short time. As soon as the first fire section dissipates, players can move into that area to avoid the last attack of the attack sequence. This will happen throughout the encounter in either direction, so be ready to move. Exhaust is a massive frontal AoE targeted at a random player. Move out of this as necessary. Cerulean Vent will do moderate raid-wide damage. Be ready with those shields and heals. A player will be marked for Magitek Ray with this stack-up marker. The group will need to stack up to share the damage. This can be followed up by another exhaust attack, so be ready to run out of that AoE immediately. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. We move deeper into the battlefield, dealing with more and more Garlean forces and their respective AoEs. You'll notice harder enemies will join the fight seemingly at random throughout the section, so tanks be ready to pick them up. The second boss is Prometheus. Nitro Spin will deal mild to moderate raid-wide damage. Be ready with those shields and heals. You'll also notice that the platform will be encircled by a ring of fire, giving you a lot less room to deal with the incoming mechanics. Oil Shower is a large AoE blast affecting the rear and both flanks of the boss that must be avoided. Standing in this will deal high damage, so be sure to avoid as necessary. Staying near the boss during the encounter will make it easier to quickly dodge into the safe area. Needle Gun is a smaller AoE blast affecting the front of the boss. Move out of this as soon as you see the indicator. Periodically, Prometheus will burrow into the ground and disappear. Players will need to quickly identify what section of the wall around the arena is trembling, signified by this glow. Once they figure it out, they'll need to move to a safe side of the platform out of the way of his incoming attack. An easy way to do this is to stand in the center as soon as the boss disappears. You'll need to turn your camera around until you identify the glowing section. Once you do, run to the edge of the arena to the left or the right of the glow to get safely out of the way. At this point, the boss will return and the fight resumes. Unbreakable Thermite Drill will target the primary target with a heavy-hitting tank buster. Be ready with shields, heals, and cooldowns. When the boss casts Freezing Missile, he will burrow into the ground again and 4 proximity-based damage markers will appear around the platform, forcing players into the very center of the arena. While this looks scary, it's essentially the same movement as before. Stand in the center to avoid those missiles while turning your camera to identify the glowing section of the wall. As soon as the missiles come down, you'll be able to dodge left or right of the glow to avoid the boss attack. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. In the last section of Trash, you'll be fighting harder enemies with the help of your friends. There are a lot more AoEs to dodge, and I like to think of this section as a bit of a mini boss gauntlet. There's not much you haven't seen before, so good luck and have fun. The last boss encounter consists of 2 bosses, Julia and Anya. Each time you begin this fight, one of the twins will jump to the edge, while you actively fight the other. Each boss has respective abilities that they cast based on if they're actively in the arena or on the outer edge. When Anya is active, healers will need to be on the lookout for this prey target on a random player. This player will soon take high damage from Air's Bane, so be ready with those shields and heals. Delta Trance is a moderate tank buster on the primary target. Order to Bombard will cause a number of large circle AoEs to target the platform. At the same time, Julia will target all 4 players for unavoidable damage in a long column from the edge of the arena. Shortly after, Anya will also target a random player with Angry Salamander, creating another long frontal AoE in their direction. To handle all of this, position yourself in a safe spot between the circle bombardment AoEs and avoid the column attack as necessary. Artificial Plasma will do moderate raid-wide damage. Healers be ready with those heals. The Order from Julia on the edge will cause 4 line AoEs to form across the platform. Don't stand in these. Anya can periodically jump to a random player and begin casting Stunning Sweep, a point-blank AoE circle attack. Again, move out of this. The mechanics of this phase will repeat until Anya is brought to 1% and the first phase transition occurs. You'll notice Anya and Julia will switch places while also marking the platform up with their incoming dash attacks. These are a little hard to see, so be very careful here. Players will need to move away from these dash indicators into a safe spot to avoid death. When Julia is active, Innocence will target the primary target for high damage, and Anya will cast long, angry salamander attacks across the platform from her position on the edge of the arena, heal through the tank buster, and avoid the line attack as necessary. When the airstrike begins, a number of cerulean tanks will fall onto the platform in a set pattern. Julia will roundhouse kick and knock everything around her backwards before targeting a tank with Earsbane, setting off a chain reaction of cerulean tank explosions. Players will need to stay out of the way of each explosion as necessary. Anya is still throwing out attacks during this time, so be sure to avoid those as well. Order to Fire will bring down 4 missiles on top of players. The order will also add another 4-column AoE attacks to the platform to avoid. Once Julia is brought to 1%, players will have to deal with another dash transition phase. Look out for the lines on the platform and find yourself a safe spot. Players also have to deal with circle AoEs at the same time here, so be sure to spread out as you're dodging the dash attacks. The 2 sisters will then return to the center and cast Artificial Boost, which will heal them a bit. They will then begin to cast Imperial Authority. Players will have the length of the cast time to defeat each sister, or you will die. And there you have it. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll head into the Wreath of Snakes normal. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time!